Hi, this is Mark Mancini with VRBO Outstanding, and this week's episode is about calendars. So welcome back. Now, this week's episode, we're going to go into some details about calendars that you need to know about. Now, first and foremost, hopefully you know I'm a strong advocate for a PMS, or a property management system, property management software, whatever you want to call it, okay? Software that manages your listings, your homes, so you can automate a lot of your processes. Well, first and foremost, I want to make sure you know the difference between just syncing your calendars from VRBO to AirBnB versus syncing them to a PMS. So when you set up Airbnb and VRBO to update with each other with their calendars, what happens is it's done only on an hourly basis. So about once an hour, they'll send their information across to each other. And many times, and if you look in the Facebook groups, you'll see this happens frequently. Many times, if you're just syncing Airbnb and VRBO, you'll have a double booking on a popular weekend. So what happens is you get a booking on both, there's a conflict, and you have to cancel one, and it dings you. Now, the great thing about a PMS, you get your Airbnb and VRBO, and you sync it with your PMS, so that when a booking comes in, it goes straight to the PMS, and it updates all the other platforms in real time. With a PMS, you'll never have a double booking. So that's important. Second, many of you don't book out your calendars and schedule time for yourself. Now, you definitely need to come to your homes a couple times a year to do maintenance, check on them, see what's been broken, what's missing, what needs to be replaced, what needs to be touched up. So you need to schedule time. You probably don't want to do this July 4th week, but you may, for instance, want to enjoy some of the benefits of a short-term rental and use it for vacation time with your family. So make sure you remember to book those weeks that you want to book time with your family, and also to work at it. You don't have to stay the whole week, you can just do a long weekend. But for instance, for us, the keys are usually the quiet time is September. That's usually the lull. So we usually go down the month of September. There's hardly any bookings, if any at all. And that'll be the time we touch up some paint, replace items, assess the property, and so forth. So always book that out. Finally, the other thing I want to mention about that is when you do your calendar, you want to open up your calendar 1 year ahead. I don't recommend going more than 1 year ahead, but some people do 90 days or 6 months. I prefer going 1 calendar year, and there's a few reasons for that. You'll notice that people who book 1 year out are usually the best guests. Those are people who plan their vacation, it's serious to them, they don't cancel. Those are your ideal customers and guests. So you want to make sure that you open your calendar for 1 year. Also, if you haven't done it yet, one of the things we go over in my course at VRBOoutstanding.com is having from day one a friends and family price. That is an all-inclusive price for the home, the cleaning, the taxes, etc. That you're okay because you're not paying any fees to the platform. You want to give them a small discount, etc. And that's the price that you're going to offer them, and there's no discussion about it. That is the going friends and family price. You want to make sure that you offer that to your friends and family before the start of a season, so they can kind of get first dibs on that booking and book that calendar. And if they do, just remember to block off that time. Another thing you need to be cognizant of are holidays. And since you're booking a year out, you need to make sure you know what days of the week, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Christmas, etc., Labor Day, and Memorial Day are all on. And here's why. You're probably going to adjust your pricing for those weeks as well as your length of stay. I'm going to share with you a little tip. Now, it's a little late for this year, but every, 4 years or so it happens, or I'm sorry, every 8 years it happens. is right now Christmas Eve falls on a Saturday, okay? And Christmas, New Year's Eve falls on a Saturday as well, which means January 1st is on a Sunday. So what we have done with our property, because we've done this in the past, I've been doing this 11 years now, is we don't do 7-night bookings this time of year. We do 8-night bookings, and here's why. We want the guests to stay for both Christmas and New Year's, because that long stay, it's only an extra day, but you're gonna get a better guest. If you were to try to book like a 3 or 4 day stay for Christmas and then a 3-day stay for New Year's Eve, chances are the latter is going to be a party and it's gonna be puke all over your house. You're not gonna want that guest. But the guest who comes for Christmas and stays through New Year's, that's the guest you wanna book. So what we did this year with both our properties, we booked 8-day stays. We got them coming in on New Year's Eve. They stayed through the holiday and they're leaving January 1st, the first of the year, so they celebrated and they're leaving town. So they're not drinking too much that night because they're leaving the next day. So be cognizant of that. Next year and the following years, you know, it's gonna fall differently. New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve are gonna fall on Sundays. So how are you gonna split that up? How are you gonna adjust your stays? 4th of July, you always wanna raise your price on that. In fact, if you're in a town like Myrtle Beach or Virginia Beach or parts of Florida, you're probably gonna wanna increase that price almost 30, 40%, and you'll still book it and you're gonna go, heck, I probably could have doubled my price. And even if it stays open to the last minute, you'll get a booking. I can almost assure you of that. So make sure your rates are sized accordingly to the holiday, and you're getting to that point where you're maximizing your dollars. Now, there's a tool that helps with that, and it's called dynamic pricing. There's Beyond Pricing, there's Price Labs, and dynamic pricing is a really good tool. Many of you are already on it. If you're not, you probably need to look into it. So what dynamic pricing is, based upon availability, because it looks at the different sites and see what's busy, what's not in your area, also takes into consideration events in your area like a Super Bowl or World Series, etc. And it will adjust your prices based upon the comps in your area. So again, that's something you need to look at, because for those holiday stays, you might be leaving money on the table, all right? And again, looking at the day of the week. So for instance, you know, make sure your Thanksgiving week, you make sure, because you're doing it a year ahead of time, you know what day of the week it is, and you look at that date and that week, and you book that week for a premium. Always charge a premium for the holidays. It'll book, especially in the places where people want to be, whether it's the mountains or the beach or the lake, and create that holiday atmosphere there. Now, I also want to make sure you're aware, if you're doing the 1 year ahead of time on your pricing, to always make sure you raise your prices each and every year. So what I like to keep in mind is, when I do my prices for the coming year, that's the price I go with, but also in the back of my mind, I'm thinking of a couple things. If my calendar books as it should, and it's pretty packed, I probably need to go up, let's just say 10% or 5%. And you can adjust your prices a little bit differently. Here's a VRB outstanding secret. You can either adjust your nightly rate, say 5% or 10%, but you can also raise your cleaning fee, maybe an extra $100, $125. That also raises the price as well, but it's not adding on to your nightly. So there's other things like that. Maybe you want to raise the price of your pool heat. Maybe it's too low. Maybe raise the price of your pet fee because it's too low, etc. So definitely make sure that you're raising your rates each and every year. Now, if you come to a year where your calendar simply isn't as booked as it was, you probably hit that ceiling and you might need to do some discounts to fill up that calendar, but then know the next year you probably can't raise your prices. Now, I'm a big fan of raising prices, but I'm not a big fan of is giving discounts. Some people feel if a guest is a repeat guest, they need to provide them a discount for being a repeat guest. Now, maybe if they book through Airbnb and they're paying that extra 13 or so % that Airbnb gets their hands on, okay? And you wanna look at what they paid Airbnb and discount that down 5%, sure, because you're still gonna make 7% more. Now, what I don't recommend is you look at what Airbnb paid you and discount that and give that to them as a direct price. You don't want to go lower than that. You shouldn't be competing with Airbnb. If you're direct, your price should be the same, if not more, than what the customer pays through Airbnb. A lot of people have this love for Airbnb and all this provides, and they think Airbnb is this amazing company. I don't think so. I believe in myself more than I believe in Brian's company. I know my quality. I know what I deliver. I stand by it. I stand by my reviews, my product. And so I set my terms the way I want to, and I can accept or refuse guests the way I want to. Airbnb, I don't have the love for them. Now VRBO, I've had better experiences with because the respect from them is more of a two-way street than it is with Airbnb. And that's for a later discussion, but I do have valid points on that. One thing some people do when they book open their calendar up a year ahead of time is they offer their guests staying there what's called first right of refusal. Now this is an excellent tool to get that booking 1 year ahead of time. Let me explain what that is. So let's say you've got a guest staying at your lovely beach house and it's the first week of August and they love vacationing the first week of August for some reason, okay? And this is what they want to do every year. That's fine. So what you can do with each guest is when they check in and everything's going okay, you can follow up with them towards the end of the week. You say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I hope your trip has been great. Oh, it's been great. Love your house. Love the location. Everything was perfect. Great. I just want to let you know that we offer our guests who stay with us the following year. The guests who stay here the same week, you can book this same week next year. We give you first right of refusal. We're opening up our calendar for you and to you first. Now, if you don't want it, that's fine, and we'll keep it open. But if you want to come back next year, we're going to keep this reserved just for you. How did that sound? I think that gets that person to think, wow, this person cares enough to reach out to me that they might want me to stay here the same week next year. And also, too, Mrs. Smith, you can go through Airbnb if you want, but I could save you 5% of what you're paying Airbnb. Just book with me direct. I know you, you know me. We'd love to have you. So just let me know if we can make this happen. That's it. That's all you have to do. ABC, always be closing. Now, I did want to make sure that you are aware that every single episode that we film from here on out with this downturn, this recession that a lot of people are facing, we're offering a discount code for our VRB Outstanding course. The course is $795. It's the only one I've ever seen in the short-term rental market that's got a money-back guarantee because it's that good. Now, instead of paying $795, the very first person to put in this code will get it for $199. First person, that's it, and then the code is no good. So remember, go to VRBOutstanding.com, put in this code, and save almost $600 for our 8-hour course on how to make your home VRB outstanding, and then another 3 hours on how to be a property manager, or what some people are calling co-hosts. Thanks again for coming this week. Remember, hit the like and subscribe button below, and we'll see you again next week.